Hey everyone, Craig here again, and today I'm going to be talking about Manjaro Linux and taking you through the install process as I experience it. So I recorded a video yesterday and I was using Fedora 30 for that, and I ran into a couple of issues. I've had a few issues with Fedora 30 overall, things like multimedia not running so well. If you try and watch any videos off YouTube or anything like that with it, you find that the videos are really jumpy. It's not a great experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good things about Fedora 30. It was really easy to join it to my IDM domain. It was literally just chucking in a couple of values and well, hey, in we go, not a problem. But unfortunately, it wasn't really fitting very well for me. My primary driver is a Mac. And I really enjoy how Apple have their operating system, how things work, how everything's relatively straightforward. I'm sure there's people out there that will disagree with that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to try out a new operating system that one of the guys I work with, a friend of mine, recommended. He's decided to have a little play with Manjaro, and because Fedora isn't really cutting it for me, I've decided to give it a go. So I've already been and gone to the Manjaro website. I've already gone to this try Manjaro button here. And on the face of it, their website's a bit crap. It doesn't work too well. So what I ended up doing was if you're looking for this, I already know that I want to run KDE rather than GNOME. I'm thinking that maybe there's some bug in GNOME that's causing some of my issues. I'm running off an Intel NUC here, so it could well be something to do with that. But if you go to manjaro.org/download/KDE, you'll get a relatively nice page here, which actually has a button to go ahead and download. So if I hit download and then no thanks, take me to download, it'll go off to osdn.net. And then it's just a case of hitting the download button, which actually, no, it's not. It'll automatically start. If it doesn't automatically start, you can hit this button and it'll grab it for you. Anyway, I'm going to skip this because I've already done that. So what I've also done is I use this tool because I'm in Windows right now, a tool called Rufus, to create a bootable USB stick for me. It's quite good, quite lightweight, does what it says on the tin, and there's actually a nice little portable version as well, so you don't actually have to install anything. It just gives you what you need. You just grab an exe and run it, and it works. It was quite nice. So I've already prepared a USB disk, bootable USB. I've already plumbed it into my Intel NUC, and so I've got this. So literally all I'm going to be doing here is running through the install and seeing what happens, because I've never used this, and actually I'm kind of curious. It's been a while since I've used KDE. I tended to use GNOME based distributions. Anyway, so on the face of it, all of this looks pretty good. I'm going to change the characters here because I'm British. There we go. Just change that. And I'm going to change the language. The language can stay as English GB. There we go. Driver free. So this is to do with if you want things like the NVIDIA drivers. There's a specific version of Manjaro that ships with the NVIDIA non-free drivers. I understand. I'm just going to leave that as it is for now. We'll see what happens. Time zone. I'm going to change this to my actual time zone. If this was a server, I'd leave it as UTC because I like everything to be standardized, and I like any kind of tooling to figure out time zone differences. But in this case, because it's going to be a workstation, I'm going to change that to be the correct time. What's this? Okay, that's the command line, so don't want anything else. Great. And so now if we want to boot selected OS, we hit enter. Oh, there we go. Highlight boot and then hit enter. So what this should now be doing is taking us into the install. There we go. It's rebooted the NUC. And it should be taking us into the installer. Yeah, there we go. Great. So Manjaro is, I believe, Ubuntu based. No, sorry, that's Pop OS. Manjaro's Arch Linux based. If I switch you back over to the screen here, we can have a little look. I think this is downstream of Arch Linux. When it builds it, yeah, there we go, based on Arch Linux. Right, I'm going to switch over to the other screen. Okay, so interesting things are starting to happen. So it's already discovered here that I'm on a 4K screen, and actually it's looking quite nice. Do I want to do any of this? Okay, so there's a button here to launch the installer, so I'm going to go ahead and hit launch installer, and this should walk me through all the bits and bobs. Yeah, so the other operating system I was looking at here was Pop OS, which is downstream of Ubuntu. I've chosen Manjaro over Pop OS purely because of the GNOME versus KDE kind of discrepancy. I'm kind of thinking that KDE might be a better fit for me because it's got this nice little bar at the bottom, so you can act the application taskbar. And actually, I kind of like the experience that Mac gives me in this bills itself as being quite close to a Windows or Mac replacement. How true that is, well, we're about to find out. Okay, so we've already set the time zone, already set the keyboard, so we're just a UK standard keyboard there. I want to, what do I want to do here? I want to erase the disk, and I'm going to be choosing, is that selected? I think that's select, there we go. So this is already running Fedora, so actually I want it to get rid of that. I'm going to run an encryption because, okay, great, that doesn't show you what's there. I'm going to run encryption because it's good practice. If anybody decides to come into my house and just walk away with these machines, nothing's going to get lost. Okay, what happened there? Okay, so the installer looked like it crashed. Okay, let's start that again. I've never seen an installer crash like that before. Okay, replace, encrypt. Maybe it didn't like how many characters. All right, there we go. Erase the disk. Actually, not replace. There we go. Next. What is my name? My name is Craig. I'll use Craig to log in. This I'm going to call Nook01. My password, I'll stick that in there, nice and secure. I'm not going to log in automatically, but I will use the same password for the administrator account for now. I'm going to go with LibreOffice. Again, it's just personal preference. Location, everything's set. We've got full Manjaro Linux there. Great, install. Yeah, install now. Okay, so excellent. Okay, so we've got a failure here to do with creating a partition table, so that isn't good. So already out of the box, we've had issues with the installer crashing. We've had issues with even just partitioning the disk, you know, basics here. So this isn't really boding very well for it. I hope the rest of the experience isn't as sloppy. Okay, so if we go back through, let's go back through here. We have selected the correct. Maybe I just need to select a different device. Nope, that crashed the installer. Maybe Pop OS is going to get a go here. Okay, so if we hit next again, next. Okay, erase disk. I'm not going to bother with the encryption this time. Let's see if it's something to do with the encryption settings. I just want it to do that. I'm going to stick my name in there. I'm going to stick my password in here. I want it to be the same password. Next. We'll go LibreOffice again. Next. Install. Install. No, it doesn't like it. Okay, so I wonder if it's something related to, if it is actually related to the device I'm trying to pick up here. Let's try once more with that other device and see if we can use the NVMe reference. It's a shame actually that we're running into these issues, because the guy I was talking to about this, he didn't run in, it just worked for him. Did exactly what it said on the tin. Okay, so this is... Okay, so these are the partitions that Fedora's created. So hopefully if we select some manual partitioning, we can leave that as it is. We can leave that. It's this LVM. Maybe if we format that. Okay. Why can't I go next? Yeah, format. We already selected that, I thought. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to have any of that. And it's crashed. Amazing. Okay, so it turns out that Manjaro, not so good. I wonder if it's something to do with it being an NVMe disk, because Windows will have issues with that too. Let's see if there's anything in the logs. Let's see what the error is. Alright, so if we run the installer, so it's doing some stuff. Next. Maybe we replace it? No, that doesn't feel right. It feels like we should yeah, see, it's crashed again. Let's see if we can see why. I mean, it does feel nice. Well, a bit nicer. Yeah, no, that's okay. Gonna have one more go, delete the partitions. If that doesn't do it, then see you later. Let's try manual partitioning with this. So if I go and delete and delete and delete and then using this, we'll just create I'm going to use XFS. We're going to call it root. Actually, no, we're going to call this. We probably need a swap actually. So let's chuck a. I'm going to chuck a 64. Oops. Linux swap. Swap. There it is. Okay. Oh no, I've done it the wrong size. No. So we're going to make this. What's that? 46 G. No, 64,000. That should give us about 64 gig. Yeah, okay, great. And so we're then going to create this as XFS. I'm going to call this root, and I'm going to follow a bit of a bad practice here and just stick everything on this. We probably need a boot partition too, but let's see what it's gonna. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be too happy with that. Maybe I need to create I don't know, a 20 gig boot. 20 gigs probably way too huge for this, but if we call that XFS and then call it boot, and then we flag it as a boot partition. Okay, and that should give us a bunch of free space. And then if we do the same again with XFS, we'll call it root, and then we'll chuck everything in here. Like mount point. So this is going to go slash. This is going to be slash boot. And then this is swap, so it doesn't get a mount point. Okay, so this is looking a bit happier. Configure an EFI part system partition. Okay, great. See, this is why it's easy to have something. Let's revert that. Hey, and it crashed. Fantastic. All right, I'll tell you what. One last try here. Let's use cfdisk sudo -i cfdisk, and then we're going to be looking at dev mvme. That should do it. And so this gives us, let me see if we can just zoom this in. Oh, that's kind of nice. So this then gives us access to the partition tables. So if I take a look at, so this is the boot partition that Fedora has created already. So if I go ahead and delete that, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then if we write that out, yes, we want to dump it to the disk, and then zoom back. See, that's quite a nice little function there, that zoom thing that just happened. And apparently, yeah, so there's a shell that comes down from the top, which is quite nice too, just by hitting F12. Okay, so if we come out of that, I'm just going to run journal ctl-f again, just so we can follow the logs and see what's going on. Okay, great. So we're going to erase the disk. I'm pretty sure I just gone ahead and see, crashed again. Okay, I'm getting to the point where this is crap and I'm not going to be using this distro. Don't make me use Windows. /dev Fedora doesn't feel like the right thing to be doing, but alright, let's erase it. Let's see what erase is going to do here. And then if we hit next, this is the last chance. It's either going to work or it's not. Same password, next. LibreOffice, next. Install, go. No. Okay, so it's not going to work. So Manjaro as a distribution for me is now dead. That's a shame. Anyway, so I'm going to have to try and go back to the drawing board, see what distributions we got, and work my way from there. Okay, so I decided to read up on the internet and see what I could find from other people's experiences here. And there's a forum thread in particular I've just come across which seems to be related to choosing the swap device, but it seems to be related to going between different partition types, so going from MBR to GPT and vice versa. So what I'm going to try and do is just go ahead and remove the volume group here that Fedora created, and I'm going to try and create a new partition table. So I'm going to create GPT, and what that should do is allow us, when the installer runs, to actually partition this properly, because it seems that the installer wants to use GPT. So let's give this a go and see what happens. So we're going to specify erase disk, and there's not, it's all free space, which is good. So if we put the stuff in, use the same, gonna go with LibreOffice and install. Aha! Okay, so that seems to be the thing. Okay, so that's kind of bad. I would expect an installer to be able to deal with that kind of stuff on its own and not need user input to clear file systems and partition tables and all that kind of stuff, especially when you're telling it to erase the disk. So if I switch over real quick to the post I saw, just so that I can show my working, and I'll look over here, if we excuse that. So this is what I came to. So over in Newbie Corner, Manjaro installer crashes when choosing swap. Anyway, using a bit of Google foo, if you scroll down to here, the solution is, if you had it in legacy mode, partition table is MBR. So if you want to install and boot Manjaro in UFI mode, then you're gonna have to have a GPT partition table. So it means creating a new partition table and so on and so forth. So because of this, I thought maybe it would be a good idea to clear out the partition table totally and not just, deleting the contents of it. And that appears to have worked. So let's see how far we get with this install. Okay, so the installer seems to have completed, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot the system. Just as I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the USB that I've just installed from, just so it doesn't try and boot to it. But I'm just going to go ahead and hit done now and see what happens. Alright, there we go. There's the USB out. Okay, so that was actually a really fast boot. I'm quite impressed with that. Okay, let's see what happens when I log in. Okay, so we've got a, what is this? This is some kind of, okay, so this is some kind of launch prompt. Okay, so let's not launch that at start. It feels like it might be kind of annoying. Okay, so close that. Where's the system updates? In fact, where's the settings to change the, okay, this is a little bit annoying. Let's see if we can change the resolution here. So this is piped into a 4K screen, but it still feels a bit too small. Where are we looking? Look and feel, I guess. Ah, no, displays. Where was displays? Hardware, display and monitor. Okay, so this is probably what I'm looking for here. So if I set this down to 1080p, it should feel better. It'd be nice if you could do something like, okay, yeah, this is already feeling quite a lot nicer. I'm wondering if you can scale it to 1080p, but still drive a 4K display with it. This is one of the nice things that, okay, so if I do this to apply the 4K-ness to it and then run through scale and see what happens. So probably about that is quite nice. Let's do that. No. refresh rate. We probably want this to be as high as possible. Okay, so this is pretty good. So this is scaled, scaled at 4K, I think. Maybe. What resolution are we running at? Reset. Okay. Okay, no, so we're still running at 1080p here, and we do have some scaling, but I'm going to scale that back if we're just going to run at 1080p. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so 1080p. Can work with that, that's fine. Let's see what the performance is on something like YouTube. So we've got Firefox here. And if I go to youtube.com, and if we hit, I don't know, mixed beans always good.
You know when you're cooking and you go to check the recipe and screen lock, sticky hands. Just ask. Okay, Google, what's the
quite
step?
a bit better.
It looks like a bullet in the lower thorax. It seems to have ruptured the lung, and there's severe inner bleeding along the abdomen.
So no, that's really good. Awesome. Okay, well, it looks like we've got a bit of a success here. I'm just going to go ahead and see what patches we've got. And so that's all the things that are, there we go, updates. Let's check for updates. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch. Wow, not as many as I thought. I'm actually kind of surprised at that. I was expecting to see a lot more updates. Okay, we'll apply these. Asking for my password, that's great. But overall, this seems to be better. And actually, the thing that I was trying to solve with this was 10.50.101.30. We can ignore this. So the thing that I was trying to solve was how this behaved with the ILO Webby interfacey. So if I switch over to my other screen quickly, I wasn't expecting to look at this right now, but let me grab my notes, because of course that's where I keep my passwords. Why not? There we go. Okay, if I jump back across. Okay, so if I'm going to log into this, and we'll get to have a look what the story is. So I mean, it does feel a lot more faster. I don't know if that's just because that's what I'd been used to or what, but it just, yeah, it feels a bit quicker. It feels a bit more snappy. So we don't have Java installed on here. That in itself isn't an issue. So let's figure out how to install software. So it looks like add or remove software installed on the system. So how do we install Java? So I'm guessing somewhere here there's going to be, well, Java. Don't know how. There's a search button. So search not immediately obvious how to do that, but that's okay. I just was being a bit blind. Okay, so where actually do we find new applications? So if I were to install Java, I would have expected to have to go here, which gives us this, and then search for Java, and then it to give us Java, but it doesn't appear. Okay, it's because that's what I was looking for installed. Okay, I see. So if we're looking for OpenJDK or something like that. I'm not sure I want. Okay, so iced tea. I know we're going to need iced tea web. So let's search for iced tea web. Okay, so we're going to need that. So hopefully this is then going to give us all of the dependencies on things like Java. So that's flagged, I'm presuming queued for install. I'm presuming that's what's going on here. Java SDK. Java. It's a Java runtime, isn't it, that we want? Right, so where's the Java? So I literally am expecting a... Right, so I don't want to sort by relevance. I want to sort by that. So I don't want that. I literally want an application called Java. Don't really want OpenJDK. Maybe I do want OpenJDK. I don't want Tomcat. OpenJRE or something like that, maybe. Here we go. Sugar. Alright, so if we look for JRE, there we go. So it's given us the runtimes now. So I'm going to choose the full runtime. Hopefully that also gives us that. I'm going to select it anyway and see what happens. This is kind of slow. What's this little red thing about? Upgrades. Okay. So it seems to be doing that. This is 55 KB and it seems to be going mega slow. Yeah, we're connected wired. Does seem to be doing stuff. So you can see that these are pending. Fine, let's reboot. That is incredibly fast. That really is. That is impressive. Okay, so if we go back to this add or remove software updates, we know there are updates available, but I'm going to ignore those. If we now go to all and then we do a search again for JRE, because now I know what I'm looking for, and do an install of that and an install of that and then an apply. Yeah, fine. Chuck it in, apply. Okay, so this is actually downloading now. That was weird. Let's see if we can see what repositories are enabled here. Extra. Okay, so that should have installed Java for us. So if we go to the thing that I want to do, so go back over here, Java Web Start, open with, we'll select something else. Hopefully we're going to see iced. Ah, no, I didn't install iced tea. Silly me. All right, let's try again. Back to packages. Iced tea web. So we're going to want that. And then we probably want just iced tea. Cool, let's add that. Fine. Fine. Okay, great. So that's installed. I'm not going to bother installing the documentation yet. Okay, so Java Web Start, iced tea Web Start, excellent. Okay. Always trust, yes. Always trust, run. We're gonna remember this option and say yes. Come on, Manjaro, don't do the same thing. So this is... Oops. It's doing exactly the same thing, isn't it? So I wonder then if ILO has an issue with iced tea. That's a shame. I mean, we can still get into the console over here. I think I'm actually... Yeah, so this is now giving me pop-ups about that. But we're still seeing exactly the same thing. It's not getting the display. Whereas here, sweet, it just works. Okay, so we've got Manjaro. And actually, I'm not that impressed. I mean, there's some really nice things. I mean, I like having a taskbar down here. And I like that I can hit F12 and get this drop down terminal, but I'm pretty sure that I could also do that on Fedora. I am also happy that, you know, going to a video, showing some multimedia, it actually works, and it just, you know, it's not stuttering at all. Whereas in Fedora, I was finding that it was stuttering. But again, I'm wondering if that's because I used Chrome. If I let's try Chrome. So if I go and sudo kill all Java, we'll get rid of that, and then let's get rid of that. I do like that drop down. And then if we Chrome, no Chromium. Okay, so Chrome's not in the repos. Let's go over here, download Chrome, yes please. I don't actually know whether this is deb or RPM based. Don't think that it's RPM based, so let's try debs. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that extracts it. It's not going to install it. So it's obviously not deb based either, which means that how do we actually install? Can we install it from here? I mean, Or do I need to literally select the repos? No, it's just not. It's not there. So when there's Google Libraries, it's not already installed or something, and I'm just being blind, is it? So internet. Yeah, no, it's not. Wow, okay. I'm actually a little bit surprised at that. I like that Steam's here. That's really cool. Yeah, okay, well, I think that pretty much nails it for me. I'm going to go and have a look at another distro. I may end up going back to Fedora, but I doubt it, given that the UI wasn't quite as smooth as I would have expected, and you know, just doing things like loading videos into the browser from YouTube were quite laggy, which I was really disappointed at. Fedora, I think, in comparison, feels, and I don't know if it's just because I'm not used to the Arch Linux kind of way of doing things, or KDE way of doing things, or what, but it doesn't feel as refined. I mean, there was just some weirdnesses with the install. I mean, I don't expect ever to have to mess around with the installer just to get something to work. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed, actually. Anyway, I think this probably just about does it for us for this video. If this has been useful, if you've enjoyed it, I know I've waffled on a bit, but if you have enjoyed it, let me know. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you didn't, or if there's any ways that I can improve, again, give us feedback. You know, it's always good to hear what you've got to say. Thanks very much. Have a good one. See you later.